Hello, I'm Kendall Qualls, and this is Fully Charged. On this podcast, we counter the progressive narrative and give you a perspective that you'll never hear conveyed in the public arena. Thanks for joining us. Many of you have asked about Sheila. Where is she? Is she still involved? And absolutely, she's involved. We're dividing and conquering our activities. She's producing a podcast targeted specifically toward women and addressing issues for women and about women. I'm so proud of the work she does, and I've been proud of her for many, many years. As you know, Sheila and I have raised 5 kids together. There's something that you don't know. We did go to high school together, and she was the editor of our not just high school paper, but actually our college newspaper. And after graduation, she started a career in journalism to the point where she became editor of what could be considered a small town newspaper. It was a military town, but it had a circulation of about 50,000 people. And she was the editor of that paper. And on weekends, she worked for the local news station. She was a reporter back in the day when journalism was held in high regard, and it was really a profession as we used to respect. Now, today, after raising kids and everything, she's gotten back into to her career, what she loves to do. And although we're dividing and conquering our efforts, we're doing well as a family. She's still my little sweetheart. I love her to death. And we're going to be bringing 2 different scenarios or 2 different issues forward to you, again, that you rarely ever hear. And I can't wait for you to hear and see what she's going to bring forward in her podcast. It's going to be incredible work. So before starting my core comments about the podcast, I want to share with you that our organization and our message and mission has gotten the attention of the Dennis Prager organization. The Prager University organization has actually asked us to record a PragerU video. And we traveled to California in November and recorded our first PragerU video that was released last week. Here's a short clip. In this renewed America, moms and dads demand to be informed about exactly what their children are learning. They don't take no for an answer. They get themselves elected to local school boards to make sure their wishes are enforced. Value-centered private schools, charter schools, online schools, and homeschools sprout up all over the country. Public schools stop being warehouses and become real places of learning. Proficiency in reading, writing, and math become our preoccupation rather than subjects like racial grievance, gender identity, and global warming. Music and art appreciation make a comeback. So do dress codes. Discipline and test scores improve. Thank you all for your support in sharing our content and helping us financially and supporting our cause, and also for praying for me and Sheila and our family. It really means a lot. It makes a difference. And you can see that our message is getting national attention. So with that said, we find ourselves in Black History Month. And we're going to be inundated with progressive narratives about how bad our country's been to Black Americans. Trust me, I know more than anyone what the history of our country has been to the Black community. Both my mother and father and Sheila's parents grew up in the Jim Crow South. We know that. And in fact, I was probably one of the last generations of kids to have been bused. When they were still busing kids in public schools, I had to go through that experience and actually be bused to an all-white school, an elementary school. So listen, I know the issues, but what they don't ever share is who we were as a people, what our values were, and what we did to actually overcome all of those obstacles, to stay together as an intact families, to our belief in God and our belief in the country. We knew things were going to get better. So here's some history for you that you'll never get in public schools, the universities, and in the public domain anywhere. It was during the 1960s when 80% of Black Americans were in 2-parent families. That was the norm. In fact, it was the norm just like any other culture. What changed was when the LBJ administration launched this aid to family with dependent children. We call it welfare today. But basically, it was the first time that the federal government financially incentivized women to have children outside of marriage. As a result, marriage rates plunged in the Black community. Today, Black Americans go to church more for funerals than they do for weddings. Now, based on this information in this slide, you'll see significant decline in marriage starting in the late 1960s, early 1970s, is a statistical shift, and it's been a travesty in the Black community. Now, even more so, look at the non-marital birth rates here in the Twin Cities. I'm going to tell you, this is a disgrace to our ancestors in the Black community, what they suffered through and what they sacrificed for in order for us to have better lives as full-fledged citizens of the United States. They didn't used to live like this. This is the difference. This is driving the disparities in our country. It's not racial disparities. It's two-parent disparities. And it was brought on by progressive leftists 60 years ago. And here's the travesty around this. There's not been one national initiative to reverse the trend of this issue until this day. We're going to do it at Take Charge. We're initiating that, and we're calling on people to help join us in this turnaround in this initiative. Again, this is not a racial issue. So this is a cultural genocide caused by a culture that's been led astray, that was centered around really a faith-centered culture, a family culture that has been moved from a God-dependent culture to a government-dependent culture. And the travesty around this is that leaders in these communities do not want anything to change. They want permanent power, permanent political power, while they get wealthy, pointing the finger at the problems of the community to everyone else. This is an issue that we need to fix in our own communities. It doesn't take one dime. It doesn't take a government initiative. We have to decide as a community that this is not going to be the way we're going to live any longer. So how do we change it? Well, it really starts with this. We need to start teaching our kids that to expect marriage first before having children. So that formula looks like this. Graduate from high school, get training in the trades or go to college, get a job, get married, then have children in that order. It's okay having children, but you need to do it after marriage. It's the best formula for children growing up. We know it by all the statistics, and it's the best things for people that are involved in families. So keep in mind, again, there's not been one initiative nationally to reverse the trend. We don't need the government involved in this. We need the community involved and making this a number one priority in our communities. So regardless of your political party, you know, this is something that's not political. This is something that's cultural that we have to do. So as we go forward, you know, when I speak in the Black community and I speak to a group of people, and I say one thing: God did not intend for women to raise children alone or to be alone. And everyone agrees with that. And because our community's been listening to the wrong leaders, we at Take Charge are stepping forward to help fill that gap. Here's the issue, guys. I just say this bluntly as I can. Our ancestors who sacrificed everything for us today and for our children did so with intact families and beliefs and values. We've replaced those values with this concept of baby daddy, and we think it's going to be okay. They did not sacrifice for a revolving door of baby daddies in our homes. Fathers love, discipline, and develop their children. Baby daddies do not. And it's even a disgrace that we actually have that term in our community. So we can make a change. And this is, like I said, this is something that you're going to not hear from any other organization. And it's all boiled in truth and love for us to move forward in a better way. Last fall, we commissioned a nationwide poll by a respectable poll organization, survey organization, within the Black community. And within this poll, what we found is that first question, do you believe that children should be raised in two-parent families with a father in a home and that the government should incentivize those behaviors? 61% of Black Americans agreed. When we asked the second question, That do Black Americans feel that their children are learning to read at grade level? Are they prospering in school to get a solid education for a successful future? Only 27% of Black Americans believe that was the case. In this last question, we asked, okay, what organization that supports your efforts, that your beliefs, and where do you lean in making your decisions on day-to-day life? And the church was their number one affiliation. You see, the Democratic Party was next, the Republican Party, NAACP and Black Lives Matter are all near the bottom. Here's a scenario. This has nothing to do with politics. It's more to do with culture and the importance of family and getting a good education. None of these other organizations support school choice, even though we have decades of failure of our public schools in nearly every major city in the country, including the Twin Cities. None of these organizations that you see on that list will support school choice if gotten into power. In fact, some of these others have actually said that they're against it. Here's the other scenario. When it comes to fathers in the home, Black Lives Matter has already declared that they're definitely against the nuclear family. They want to destroy it. And we have seen nothing in the last 5 decades from any of these other organizations to help turn around that issue of families in the Black community. That is real Black history, and that's why we're here to help change things for the better. Thanks for watching Fully Charged. We've created this podcast to counter the progressive narrative and give you the other side of the story you'll never hear. If you like this podcast and believe in what we're doing, please consider subscribing and giving us a 5-star rating. Most importantly, share this podcast with family and friends. To find out more about our work, go to our website at TakeChargeMN.com, and please consider supporting us. Your support helps us spread the message. We'll be back soon with more of the perspective you never hear.